to new developments today in the ongoing controversy at Rideau Hall. The Office of the Privy Council announced today it has hired an outside firm to conduct a workplace investigation following claims of a toxic work environment and harassment under Governor General Julie Payette. The CBC's Ashley Burke is leading our coverage of this story today. So Ashley, what can you tell us about who else is overseeing this review?
Well, the company that's been hired to do this external firm, is Quintet Consulting, and they're an Ottawa company that were also hired by the Senate to investigate Don Meredith back before he resigned in 2017 over allegations, including allegations of sexual harassment. Now, the Privy Council Office also released news that Dominic LeBlanc, who will be overseeing this, he's the president of the Privy Council. He also had a face-to-face interaction with Madame Payette, the Governor General, just a couple weeks ago when they did that mini cabinet shuffle, and he became the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. Also, he is the son of a former Governor General, which is interesting that now he's been tasked with looking into Julie Payette's office and finding out if she has, if claims are true that she has mistreated staff. The NDP's the NDP Charlie Angus today said that these harassment allegations are very disturbing coming out of Rideau Hall, and he wants the government to make some of the results public into this review. Take a listen.
If there are particular details that need to be kept private to protect the whistleblowers coming forward, I'm okay with that, but I want to know that Minister LeBlanc is going to represent the interests of the Canadian people first and foremost and not try and slip this under the carpet.
Now, Quintet Consulting today in a statement did stress that this is entirely confidential, this report they're going to be handing over to the Privy Council Office.
What can you tell us about what the firm is actually going to be doing?
Well, just to remind people, this is coming about a month after the story that we originally did, looking into allegations of a toxic workplace at Rideau Hall. 12 sources at the time, that's now grown to more than 20, who either witnessed firsthand some of these allegations or they experienced it themselves. They are saying that Madame Payette belittled employees, she publicly humiliated them, that she berated them, and then her second in command, Assunta De Lorenzo, is also accused of bullying employees too, and that together they had created a toxic work environment. We already knew that this review was going to involve talking to current and former Rideau Hall employees, but we now know that it's going to be expanded past that. This is all voluntary, but people who have worked in other departments closely with Rideau Hall can also be involved in this review. So, for example, people that work on the grounds, like NCC staff. We've done stories that included details that some of them also had confrontations with Madame Payette that did leave people visibly shaken afterwards. The firm that is also mandated to speak with Payette herself and De Lorenzo to talk to about the process they're going to be undergoing, but also to get their side of the story too, any context, any background they want to include. I had a workplace harassment expert at Carleton University read over the terms of this review, and she said that she liked what she saw so far. Here's what she had to say.
It's possible that out of this will come a change, and that it is, because the case is high profile, the changes that may come out of this may cascade through government organizations. It is also likely to heighten awareness about harassment and workplace bullying.
Now, this review is expected to be completed by later this fall. This report, that expert we spoke to said that sounds early or optimistic, that depending on how many people come forward, it might take longer than that.
Okay, interesting. Well, certainly we will be watching that. Thank you again for your reporting on this. The CBC's Ashley Burke. We are back with the Power Panel. Shakir Chambers, David Hurtel, and Françoise Boivin. We are going to talk about what we heard about earlier in the show. The CBC's Ashley Burke reporting on the Privy Council Office's decision to hire a firm to conduct the review of allegations of workplace harassment at Rideau Hall. Now, the findings, as Ashley told us, are not going to be made public. I want to start with you, David, and ask, do you think that that's something the government will be able to stick to, keeping these findings public, given the public interest in these accusations?
Well, ultimately, this is actually the way to go. I mean, in these types of situations, let's say we were in a completely different setting. Let's say we were private sector or whatever. You would, in a case like this, you would normally make sure that you have an independent investigation. And that investigation, I mean, we're talking about, we've heard about 20 allegations. We don't know if that's it. Maybe there are more. Maybe there's more people, but that's also their witnesses. There's the Governor General and people that she may want to be interviewed in the scope of this investigation, and seems to be a very broad mandate. And so confidentiality is going to be key here. It's not just a question of just making this public. I mean, you have a lot of people that may want to count on this, on the issue of confidentiality, and for the process to actually work, you're going to have to keep this report confidential. And who knows, you're going to have, there's some legal consequences. Some people may need to be represented by attorneys. There may be lawsuits coming out of this. So maybe the conclusions ultimately may become public, but the report itself, I don't see it becoming public. And I don't think it's a question of the government wanting it to keep something secret. The process dictates, I think in this case, that the report itself is going to stay confidential, because, I mean, you're talking about very sensitive topics and allegations that have to be taken seriously. You're talking about people, bearing their, sharing their stories, which are very serious in terms of what we've heard. And so they have to be taken seriously, and confidentiality is important in this context.
Shakir, from a political perspective, what do you think are the government's options in terms of trying to handle this in a way that minimizes any political repercussions for them?
I think no matter what happens moving forward, there is some damage done here, especially if you're coming from the conservative side. I think what's happening here kind of fits into the narrative conservatives have been pushing out for quite a while, right? As CBC reported, Trudeau, when he appointed this GG, he had a chance to use an advisory board to select suitable candidates. He chose not to go that route and make this a personal choice. Given some of the allegations that are coming out, the toxic work environment, it looks like another bad decision or poor judgment on the behalf of Justin Trudeau. And I think that's a theme the Conservatives have been pushing for a very long time. In our previous segment, I think David brought up the fact that nobody cares about we. There might not even be a lot of attention on this story as well. But again, it's about putting all these things together and building this case that Justin Trudeau continues to mismanage and do things that demonstrate poor judgment. If I'm hearing it for the 100th time or the 1,000,000th time, there's still that voter out there that's hearing it for the first time. And those are the voters that you need to persuade and say, look, we told you so. He's not fit for the job. So I think this entire story, this entire narrative plays well into the Conservative and what they're pushing forward about the Prime Minister.
Françoise, I'd like to talk to you about timing in all of this, because there's this sort of interesting intersection of different things happening, right? The question of how long this investigation and report itself takes in order for it to get on into Dominic LeBlanc's hands, but also the possibility, however faint, that there will be a fall election, and that would involve going to the Governor General. Tell me a little bit about the political calculus around that.
Well, I think the government had no choice because of the constant reports, especially from our journalist here at CBC, who's been doing a phenomenal job. It's not her fault if she gets the information. So basically, there's something that is not going super well. The labor relation specialist that I am feels it to my core that there is a problem one way or the other. Just the fact that we are discussing this on TV, and it's not the first time, there is a problem that must be very hard to manage on either side. There's victim maybe on either side. I don't even prejudge. So the government had to act. They took what? The PCO, the president of the Privy Council, Dominic LeBlanc, who has some type of experience in the Governor General function, having been the son of one, knows how the apparel function. They put it in the hands of a specialist firm, Quintet, who've seen other high-profile case, Senator Meredith. I think also the new policies are for anti-harassment for the MPs' employees and so on and so forth. I think they had their hands into that. So they know how to take care of really high-profile. I saw that they had like a few months to produce their report, but I'm willing to bet with everybody on this panel that we won't see that report or even hear that it's done. And they'll probably need way more time. By the time they meet everybody involved who has something to say and do it carefully, David and Shakir would talk about lawyers might be involved and so on and so forth. I think the Governor General almost have time to finish her term before we'll see if we ever do see the end of that event, or maybe even an election beforehand.
David, do you think that there is a political risk? I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but if this does not go well for the Governor General and the government is in a situation where it knows there could be an election in the offing, being in the fall or the spring, does it become that much more problematic when they have to make a decision about whether or not she stays in place?
Well, to Shakir's point, I just want to say, I didn't say that Canadians didn't care about we. I just said that the Liberals took their hit, and it seems to take the hit is limited now. And the thing is, it is true that if there's some really damning cases that come out and information that comes out, because while the report may stay confidential and what the firm does is confidential, witnesses may talk, victims, alleged victims may talk, who knows? And so the idea here is that there could be a political risk in the way that Shakir described, that it could be an accumulation, but at the same time, this is something that again doesn't seem to be tracking that much right now politically. If you're looking at the polling right now, and you're looking at the polling in Quebec, in Ontario, and in BC, Liberals are in strong position, and we've known about this. So I'm wondering again, just like has the government taken that hit already, and have Canadians, said, okay, but down the road, if there's a constitutional issue, remember back when, just like with Prime Minister Harper, where the Governor General's role was actually very important for a few weeks, that could be an issue, yes. But at the same time, I would see maybe the Privy Council coming out with maybe making some moves, not waiting for the report to come out or for the whole report process to be done, and show that there are moves that have been made to make the work environment better, and maybe some reforms on how things work within the Governor General's office. So maybe they'll show that they're already moving towards creating a better work environment before this entire process runs its course.
Yeah, and I think they have tried to signal that to some extent. We are going to leave the discussion there for today, but thank you all so much for your time today. That was the Power Panel. Shakir Chambers, David Hurtel, and Françoise Boivin.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.